Hi everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Emily Latimer and I was on this season's announcing team alongside of my friends Kenny and Jimmy from Row 5 Productions. If you only know me from announcing, you might not know that I've actually been racing and a part of the series for the past 12 years now. That's right, back when the Pee-wees were still doing parade laps and there was never even a thought of having a girls class. It's been pretty amazing to watch this series grow, and it all wouldn't be possible without the help of our volunteers, community members, staff, and most importantly, our series presidents. So unfortunately, I can't make it to this year's banquet, but I have been working on something pretty cool for you guys. And if you don't trust me on how much the series has grown, take it from the presidents themselves.
I'm Ray Goulet.
Mark Davis.
Jeff Hart.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joel Grover.
My name is Chip Mann.
I began the NYOA organization in the middle 90s.
2011 to 2013.
I was NYOA vice president and then NYOA president. From 2011, I was vice president, and then 2012 for 4 seasons as president.
I think I was president in 2019, 2018, and then vice president prior to that for 5 years.
I'm the current president of New York Off-Road.
I created the organization in the mid 90s, somewhere around 96, 97. I'm not sure the exact year. And what it was an attempt to try and meet some rider needs that I felt existed. I had been riding motocross and enduros for about 25 years. And there were hare scrambles being conducted in the prior years. But it appeared as though there was a need for a more formal organization that was aligned with AMA and also reflective of the rider needs. I served until about 2009 when I retired. I was in my mid 60s at that time, and it just was becoming too much for me at that time. What happened was that there were several people that helped me with the design and incorporation of the organization. In fact, one of the people was Jim Steiner, who's currently still a promoter at Dream Riders, but I also had people like Don Rice and many others from Wayne County that helped with the design and incorporation.
I used to ride a lot of hare scrambles here and there, and finally became one that was organized, that you rode consistent with each rider. So then finally had to figure out who was running it.
My son raced. Actually, I had started racing before him. And then funny story is Hunter had no interest in racing. And I finally convinced him and my wife to go to the banquet with me one year. And he won an ATV trophy on musical chairs. And he held it up and he says, I want to win one racing, so and that kind of started it.
I started racing, I think, with the NYOA group around 2008, somewhere in there. And probably was a year or two after that when the president at the time asked me if I would get involved.
So actually, it was my boys that brought us into the series. Ethan Raymond was into hare scrambles, and his dad said, hey, I think you would like that. And we already had 4-wheelers and a small dirt bike. So we signed Logan up, had no idea what we were doing. But he absolutely loved it. It's been, I think, almost 10 years now. I think my wife and I were talking about, I think we've missed one race the boys have missed in those 10 years. So that's what started us.
I think the highlight was watching riders, and I'll just pick one. There are many, many riders, but I think Ben Bowens might still be riding. I'm not sure. But people like Ben from Wayne County, as an example, was a mini B rider when in the early years. And what we could see is, as the years went along, his ability to ride and his contribution to the sport increased over the years. And that was really enjoyable to be able to see the young riders. He was only one example of many riders. There was a lot of riders that started out in the the Pee-wee classes, and they rose through the ranks. And I'm sure they continue to do so at this time.
Just watching the Pee-wees, what do you want to say, grow up or grow in size. We started out with, I think our first one, we had three Pee-wee riders. And we're up to 50 to 100 altogether now.
One area that we focused on a lot is the banquets and trying to give back to the riders. That was the area we focused on, was just trying to elevate the level of racing and the banquets. And we had, that we always joked in our, with everybody about how the banquet was kind of like our last race of the year, so that was our chance to kind of shine and give back to all the racers, and, which were all family and friends. So that was probably the most memorable part of it. And, and the enthusiasm that you got every weekend wanting to go camp, and couldn't wait to get to the races. So.
But I mean, the things that I'm proud of from what we did, we really reorganized the series and took it from really more of the original club that it was organized as, and kind of set it up to where it could grow to what it is doing now, today.
It's been some of the quiet things. Actually, the whole family is part of it. Anyone that has been in the, has served on the board or even as a rider rep or in any volunteer position, it's not just that person. It typically ends up being, their whole family. The emails or the notes or the simple thank yous, like after the season ended last year, that I really did appreciate, to see that there was an impact to someone else's family similar to mine, because that was the whole point when my wife and I talked about, do we really want to do this?
One of the things that amazed me is that riders kept coming back no matter what the conditions were at the events, especially the quad riders. It was amazing. The quad riders tend to be lower to the ground, and they get splashed a lot more with mud as a result. So it was really common to see if we had a muddy race, that all you could see was the whites of their eyes. I mean, it was total mud all over them, and the quad themselves, but you could see the little whites of their eyeballs coming through. And it was pretty impressive to see. You would think that under such extreme conditions like this, it would be a complete turnoff for riders to say, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And yet it seemed to have the opposite effect. Riders just keep coming, and the sport just continued to increase in size.
Oh, the number of the start line, the organization of the numbers on the starting line. It used to be whoever had the number, and you showed up on your line, and then we decided to make it 1 through 20s, and you got in your line, and it made it more spectator friendly and rider friendly, who you were racing against. Anytime
that I would go watch like the youth races, anytime you saw a kid come off the track and his parent go up to him and give him a hug or high five him, it's not one moment, but that's kind of sums up the whole spirit of the, kind of the racing community right there in a snapshot for me.
I think probably the banquet, the year that Scotty, it was his last year, he just went all out, and we had a fantastic banquet for that one. I don't know if you were there and remember that, but so Scotty Rich is a ton of fun, and he just had this vision to putting on this grand party, and it was a really cool. NYOA, how about that one? That was fun because everybody called it Winoa or Winoa. I heard it pronounced so many different ways. We all giggled and laughed because we didn't really do races in Western New York anymore, just kind of Central New York. So we talked about changing the name. And I remember when I proposed it at a meeting and it passed, me and Scotty just looked at each other and went, holy cow, we just changed the name. Holy cow. Like, wow, this is a big deal. So that was kind of fun.
To see the success of my boys, as they move from their peewees to minis to adults. When I first took over was when our boys first moved into that adult class, which was, it's a big deal. They were ready. I don't know if I and their mom were ready. To see them grow with their friends has been a highlight for me. There's been a lot of funny things that have happened in the series, being with you and our public address team, and then in the scoring trailer, there's all sorts of crazy things that happen.
I wanted it to was a team of promoters that worked together, and that the team of promoters came to an agreement how the events should be conducted in a safe and effective manner that led to, to the satisfaction of the riders. And it was through that organization, we were able to agree on how to conduct those races, and we were able to meet their satisfaction. However, it's obvious that we're doing some of the right things. Some of the things that we started, ensuring that we had rider satisfaction, representing the riders with rider reps, ensuring that we had the proper feedback and representation, how things were conducting, having certain guidelines that all the promoters really, stuck to and putting on the event is obviously showing up in the increased satisfaction of the riders by their participation in the events.
Trying to keep his vision going and his progress. You always just had to keep going with the progress. Just more promoters I wanted to try to get more, because what we were only, when we first started, I think we had 4 or 5 races or series or promoters going.
I had a great team. I had, Sarah Lang came on board as, she was kind of like in charge of registration administration. We developed a 2-person sign-on checklist, for the transfer of the money. So I would actually collect it, and then we'd have 2 people sign off on it, just so that we all were clear, just establishing some checks and balances. That was the first thing that we worked on. In the beginning, when I was president, we struggled with trying to get scoring, because the series was growing, trying to improve. That was, nowadays it's kind of mainstream, but that was the time when we were trying to get the results posted online on a timely fashion the same day. Used to be you would wait a week, they'd pop up, we were trying to get them the next day or that, and that was probably the hardest thing. We went from like 4 races a day to, half a dozen, and just the logistics that created, how to expand the staff and who's going to pay for what and how you're going to get everything taken care of. So that was always a struggle early on. I think lately what I've seen, what they've done with scoring, Chad has done a great job.
When I got on board, NYOA had a constitution, they called it, and it was pretty cool. It had kind of your traditional president and vice president and secretary treasurer and that sort of thing. But ultimately, like I said, it was something that needed to be kind of refurbished and kind of rebuilt a little bit to allow expansion, because there was just so much to be done and we needed more help. So, I was able to dig into that constitution. I'm pretty good at kind of digging into that. And I broke down Ray Goulet's constitution and tried to figure out how we were going to amend that. And so passing that amendment, we tried 2-day races. That was probably a memory. I'm not going to say that was my favorite memory, because it was so much work. And, because as we grow, right, so many riders on the track at any given time, there is a point where we just need to look at, what's the feasibility of continuing to expand and have that many riders on the track. So we saw it coming, and we tried to do some two-dayers, but that's tough. I think there's some more organization that needs to be there, just essentially to wear everybody out. You don't have enough crew, frankly,
So this is something that we had, my wife and I had talked about a couple of years before, when I had served as a rider, youth rep, and then as vice president. What did I think, I saw this series going, and for me, I think right where we are is what my vision is that we are, a local series that has very much a national feel. And I think that's where we're at.
Well, the funniest one was when Ray Goulet asked me to be president. That was a tough one, but then it was tough when it became reality.
Could be something as stupid as, everybody's sitting around the campfire and someone's chair falls down and breaks on them and you laugh at them for a while, or, someone comes into pit and the people forgot to bring the gas can from the vehicle and they look at each other, and, just little stuff like that. At the time, it was a pretty, it was kind of stressful for people, but, then they laughed about it later and joked. And
boy, we didn't laugh enough. I can tell you that. That's that's the problem with doing this. We all we're such perfectionists and racers, and we're like all the same kind of personality, if you will. And we didn't laugh enough. I wish we had laughed more, because I think what we were doing was really important and setting things up. But I remember racing and just, I'm in the vet AA class, and when I still come and do some NYOAs here and there, and we just had a tight knit group of guys that raced all, hardcore right behind the AA guys, which was kind of good. Let them get out there and knock each other down, and then we came right in behind them. But I never forget, we were racing the first time at a new track. Anyway, we were all learning the arrows, and I was right behind Jim Steiner. He went wide, hit a tree, and the top of the tree fell down right in front of me, and I had to weave around it. So to me, I laughed so hard. I'm like, what is the chances that could happen? And he didn't even really fall down. He just knocked the tree down.
So Logan helps me big time with, he's over there in the Pee Wee scoring. And then at the end of the day, when we wrap up, Logan will trailer the scoring trailer. We were leaving Black Sky, and we had wrapped everything up, and we're going, and had gone over, and they're awesome. They had the motorhome pretty much ready to go. So we get ready to leave. So Logan starts going down the road ahead of us, and he realized that he forgot to check if the trailer was plugged in. Great thought. He's like, well, I'll just see if the trailer brake works. If the trailer brake works, then it's totally plugged in. So Logan reaches down, and it got the gain on the dash, and you can just squeeze it a little bit and it would come on. Well, he just closed it all the way, which locked the brakes up, which then bounced his face off the steering wheel as he did it. And he'd done it himself, so he couldn't be mad at anybody. And it was just one of those things, when you're, at the end of the day, you're tired, and, you're going home, and there's so much that's gone on, that it struck me so funny to see the look on his face as he had bounced off the steering wheel.
I think the key thing is maintaining the fragile relationship between the team of promoters and the riders themselves. And as long as we pay attention to both parts of that equation, I think the organization is going to continue to grow to the extent that it's going to meet the rider needs, and it's going to continue to succeed as it has been succeeding.
Hopefully Chip can beat Ray Goulet's record of 14 years. So I think Chip can make 15 to 16.
Hats off to the presidents that were there before me. Ray Goulet, he did a phenomenal job. I think he was president for 17 years. I don't even know, 15 years. I mean, a long time. He really put a lot of work into it. And then Mark Davis took over after him, which was, Mark had some pretty big shoes to fill. High expectations. I would not have wanted to be in his position to be the first one to follow Ray. And then I worked closely with Mark, and then we came into it. So it was a good time.
I always thanked everybody that goes above and beyond and takes their positions, their volunteer positions. And everybody needs to remember that these people are doing it for the love of the sport. And certainly that's why I did it. I saw something, I knew that it was there, the roots of this awesome thing. And it was growing, and it was like, we can make this so fun and so cool and if you think about all the hundreds, thousands of kids and families that have been part of this over the years, it's a big part of people's lives. And the thing that kept me driving is I was always thinking about the dad and the mom that were sacrificing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, getting everything ready for the next weekend, and the kids that are out there, practicing or exercising, working out, doing whatever. There was such a commitment for the whole family, not just the rider. To the rider, it's like the final thing that's the funnel at the end of the week. That Sunday when you get on the bike and you actually throw your leg over the bike or the quad, that's when it all kind of comes to fruition. But there is so much work on the back end. So I always said, listen, I'm going to do my very best to make this thing the best presentation, the best run series as can be. Just out of it's due to those riders that sacrifice so much and the families. So
I do want to say thank you to all the volunteers, to everyone from our registration team, to our scoring team, to, the workers that come to the race to help set the courses up, that, I have a lot of people that come and say thank you to me, which I truly appreciate, but it really is a team effort. And without, the people from doing the interviews at the podium, to the people that are checking your tethers at the line, to the people that are cleaning up afterwards, like, it doesn't happen without many hands. You know, it really is a group effort. And I do want to say thank you and recognize that one person, one family, you know, we cannot do it alone, and we don't do it alone. It is a lot of hands that go in to make it happen, with all the promoters individually, and then the people you consistently see. So honestly, thank you so much. The success and the things that you have seen are because of all those people donating their time and talent to this series. So thank you very much.